We have a finals. The Minnesota Lynx, the New York Liberty, but we cannot leave this season without talking about the Connecticut Sun. A lot to get to today. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy WNBA Finals Eve, everybody. My name is Howard Megdal, and welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. Over 200,000 of you showed up in September alone, the way we show up for you 6 days a week. And of course, it is not just me, it is the entire crew over at the Next. At thenexthoops.com, we have over 100 reported pieces every month dedicated to the past, present, and future of women's basketball. It's an incredible group, and you can support it. $9 a month, $72 a year. Go to thenexthoops.com, sign up today, get all of those stories delivered right to your inbox, including Locked On Women's Basketball 6 days a week. So we know who the finals are now. The Connecticut Sun fell in Game 5 to the Minnesota Lynx at Target Center, 88-77. And I want to hear a little bit from the Sun post-game. Let's hear from DeWanna Bonner, the great DeWanna Bonner, from Bree Jones. We'll be back talking about it after you hear what they have to say about what started out as just would have been a Minnesota rout, but the Sun never give up. And then we'll talk more about what's next. Segment 2, of course, we'll be talking about what makes the Lynx so good. In segment 3, guess who's waiting for them? Finalist from last year, the New York Liberty. I got to talk to Jonquel Jones and Kayla Thornton for you. Howard Megdal here, Locked On Women's Basketball.
I'll just hand it up. All right. I have DeWanna Bonner and Brianna Jones taking questions in the room and then on Zoom. Go ahead, up here in the front.
DeWanna, obviously, they got off to that fast start.
Oh, okay, sorry.
They got off to that fast start, and it was hard to kind of climb out of that. What happened in that early quarter?
I don't know. They just punched us in the mouth in the first quarter. And when you get down like that against a team at home that's playing really, really well and trying to make it to the finals, it's hard to, dig yourself out of that hole. But I can't even tell you what happened. But literally, I think they just kind of punched us in the face, and it was like we got shell shock and couldn't fight back.
Who's next? Noah, go ahead.
Obviously, just the game just ended. But have you, just thinking back on the season, like, do you have any initial thoughts on just this group? It might not be. You guys have talked about it wanting to stay together, just like what this group has meant and kind of will mean moving forward.
This year, I think this group, I would say, is resilient. I think there was a lot of things, a lot of adversity this season, and just we stuck together through it all. And I think tonight we didn't get it done. We fell short, but I know for a fact that this group was gonna stay together and see what happens. But yeah.
This is for either of you. Coming into this game tonight, did you guys think that this would happen? The expectation of being a little closer. What's your attitude coming in, and what happened?
We knew coming into this game, tied series, Game 5, backs against the wall, who was gonna step up, and they came out strong. Unfortunately, we dug ourselves a hole in that first half. We came out in the second half and we fought, but we dug ourselves too big of a hole in that first half.
Yeah, to either player, Collier's a tough player to guard on any night. What was she able to do tonight to because she managed to do a whole bunch of good things. What was she able to do against you tonight, particularly against her good defense?
She's a great player. She made plays on both sides of the ball. She led her team all night. She was aggressive. She's been having a great year all year, so I didn't see that stopping in this game. And when she's in rhythm, it's tough to stop. But this is nothing new. She's literally been playing like this all year long, and I didn't think it was going to change anything tonight.
For either of you, they had a big lead at the half, but you guys came out in the third quarter, really frustrated their offense. I think it was 5 minutes or so before they were able to get a score in the third quarter. What was kind of the message at halftime, and how were you able to come out and just be successful in the opening minutes of the third?
I mean, I think it was just who do we want to be going into that second half? Do we want to come out and fight? We're not a team that's gonna just lay down and die. So I think coming on to in the second half, we knew that we didn't give the effort that we needed to in the first half, and we definitely wanted to come out stronger and be aggressive in the second half. So that's what we did.
So you heard what DeWanna Bonner had to say. Heard a little bit from Stephanie White, the head coach. It is a team that never gives up. I should say, we'll hear from Stephanie White in a little while. It is a team that has consistently won in the regular season and has advanced in the playoffs, but has not captured that championship. And boy, it's hard. You look at last night, and I understand, I recognize that Minnesota gets off to a big start, and it's tough to overcome, right? When you go into halftime down 53-34, when you were down by 20 by midway through the second, it's tough to come back. It's tough to make that up against any team, especially against a team as good as Minnesota. Connecticut was able to make a run. They got to within 53-41, of course. But then, Minnesota turned on the Jets, were really able to put this away. And this was not a contested game. It was not a contested game, despite the fact that the Sun did a really good job on Bridget Carlton. I haven't seen her fail to be a factor in a game this year, but just holding her to 1 for 7, 0 for 6 from 3. I mean, she's such a sharpshooter, well over 40% on the season. That's significant. They limited what Alana Smith was able to do on the offensive end, but this is a Minnesota team that's just real deep. They got more from Kayla McBride, who is just this metronome of production out of the 2-guard spot. Courtney Williams, again, out of all the wins this year from Cheryl Reeve and that coaching staff, taking Courtney Williams, who is a really solid playmaker, and turning her into an elite point guard in this league. And anyone who doesn't think so is not paying attention. 24 points and 7 assists, a couple of steals and a block to go with it. Really significant. And of course, Napheesa Collier was the best player on the floor, as she has been so often this year, 27 and 11. She does everything. 4 assists, 4 blocks, throws in a steal for good measure. Just Napheesa Collier, an elite player, one of the best. There's been a long conversation about Minnesota not having top star talent. And I think that's been extinguished. I think people understand that Napheesa Collier is WNBA royalty. But in case you don't know, Napheesa Collier is WNBA royalty. So for the Sun, they shot 8 for 23 from deep. And we've talked about this a lot. This is a team that needed enough shooting to make it all work. Alyssa Thomas, lower numbers than you're used to from her. 7 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds. 3 rebounds from Alyssa Thomas in 39 minutes is almost shocking. It's not a knock on Alyssa Thomas. Quite the opposite. This is a player who we have come to expect greatness from. And it's really significant what Minnesota was able to do to limit her. Marina Mabry, 8 points off the bench. Ty Harris again, double figures in points. That 20-point explosion helped Connecticut advance to this game 5. And Dejanay Carrington, it's remarkable, remarkable. Not just the 17 points, not just the defense, the 3 steals, just one of the manifestations of it, but 12 rebounds as a guard to go along with the double-double from Bree Jones. Almost enough. It's essentially how you define the Sun season year after year. And this is a tough league to win in. I don't think there's some character flaw here. I think Darius Taylor, the general manager, has come in and done a really good job of trying to take what existed, which was a contending team, and figure out how you fit the missing pieces in. And he did it. And the first thing he had to do was trade Jonquel Jones, who had asked to leave Connecticut. So all of this has been a challenge. And for this team to come one win from the WNBA Finals is an accomplishment. But there are a lot of free agents here going into the offseason. And it's fair to wonder what Connecticut is going to be when they take the floor again next season. So a lot of intriguing decisions to be made for players and for Darius Taylor alike. Great job by Stephanie White. A tremendous season. Just not quite enough. So we'll be back in segment 2 talking about the team that did have enough to reach the WNBA Finals. That's the Minnesota Lynx. And then segment 3, of course, we will be talking about the New York Liberty. Finals coming tomorrow, Thursday night. Back with more in just a moment. I'm Howard Megdal. You're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball. Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by BetterHelp. And BetterHelp gives you the opportunity to find answers to the things that are upsetting you, things that may scare you, things that worry you, things that you need help managing in your own mind. And you don't have to do it alone. If you've benefited from therapy, you understand the value of BetterHelp brings. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. What you do, you fill out a brief questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist. Doesn't work? Okay, you switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Now visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba today, and you can get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. That is LOCKEDONNBA. Try BetterHelp today. Go get the help that everybody could use. Back here in segment 2, and I really want to turn things over here to Cheryl Reeve, head coach and president of basketball operations for the Minnesota Lynx, talking about Courtney Williams. But first, listen to Stephanie White talk about Napheesa Collier. Stephanie White's been in this game a minute, you know. The level of respect that you hear here is real and reflects not only the player that Napheesa Collier is, but the growth that you've seen from her since leaving Connecticut. I should say graduating from Connecticut. Connecticut as in the Huskies rather than the Sun. So back in a moment, but here first, Stephanie White talking about Napheesa Collier, and then Cheryl Reeve talking about what she's gotten from Courtney Williams. I'm Howard Megdal. You're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball.
Just first and foremost, hats off to Minnesota. They've got a great team. They've been really good. The second half of the season, especially, put it together. They came out and knocked us in the mouth today. And I'm proud of our team for continuing to fight, continuing to battle, to try to position ourselves to come back in this ball game. But it's a lot to overcome a deficit like that in the first quarter. So disappointed certainly, but proud of what we've done, as a team throughout the course of the year.
Taking questions in the room.
Obviously, Napheesa got going pretty early. What makes her such a difficult matchup on a night like this?
She's skilled. She's got incredible footwork. Her pace, her poise. She doesn't get rushed. You think about how she played in college and just the development to become a guard, essentially. Like you gotta. She shoots the three. She attacks off the bounce. She's got great post moves. She's got great touch around the rim. She's just the combination of everything you want in a player. But I think the thing that makes her so special outside of, the obvious skill set is just she doesn't get rushed. She stays so poised no matter what. And, you can tell that the rest of her team feeds off of that. But she's a hell of a player. There's no doubt about it.
I'm blessed. I don't know. I don't know if I really knew what we were getting. The basketball player for sure. I watched for years. I had a little bit of interaction when we were at USA Basketball. But I don't know if I knew exactly what we were getting in terms of the person and the coachability. Looks you dead in the eye. You can say anything to her. Love that. And we do. We say everything to her, right? A lot of times it's to get her going. We were talking a little bit before this game. But we had a conversation. We had a conversation around that when she's aggressive and she play makes, we have a chance to be in the finals. We knew that. We knew that should be a big part of us winning this series. So I was really happy for her, that she came through for us the way that she did, obviously in game 3 and then tonight for sure.
Howard Megdal here, Locked On Women's Basketball. And again, when you look at the way this team is put together, I talked a little bit about it in segment 1, Bridget Carleton has been a difference maker all year. And the Sun did a really good job of taking her away from Minnesota. Alana Smith has been a difference maker all year, and she only got 3 shots. So this Sun defense made things difficult for some key members of this team. Ultimately, Kayla McBride was Kayla McBride, Napheesa Collier was Napheesa Collier, and Courtney Williams, 24.7 assists, again, 5 rebounds. Always been a really good rebounding guard. That's a big 3. That's a big 3 that Minnesota has operated under the belief that you could ride to the WNBA Finals. And it doesn't have to be belief anymore because they are here. Now, I know Cheryl Reeve likes to talk about the Liberty or a super team, and they are. And we'll talk about that in segment 3. And they're super teams, with a lot of top line talent. It's not just about reputation. You have to look at the numbers. You have to look at the accomplishments. Napheesa Collier and Courtney Williams and Kayla McBride have performed like the star players they are this year. It is not credible to say that the Minnesota Lynx don't have that anymore. I know they are greater than the sum of their parts on paper, is the idea. But this is a team with stars heading into the finals. And by the way, this is a team that beat New York more often than New York beat them, including the most recent time that they played. So we'll be back talking in segment 3 about what that means, about a key stat, and we're going to hear from Jonquel Jones and Kayla Thornton about how the Liberty are different too. I'm Howard Megdal, and you are listening to Locked On Women's Basketball. But first, Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by FanDuel. And you may be wondering, worrying, oh no, the WNBA season is over soon. College basketball season for women's basketball not beginning until November. What do you do? Well, there is this league. It's called the NFL, the National Football League, and it's different. Very little dribbling. If you've seen the ball, you just wouldn't be able to do it. But if you are a fan of the NFL, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Let's say you get a hunch in the middle of the NFL game. You can check out the latest stats, view play-by-play, and you can also do it all on the same page where you place your bets at FanDuel.com. Make that first $5 bet, and you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Again, $5 bet, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. And again, kudos to FanDuel for moving. They have WNBA lines, but to also embrace upstart leagues like the NFL. So that's FanDuel.com to look at odds today. Back here in segment 3, and Jonquel Jones just continues to amaze. Here in 2024, she shot 39% from 3. Oh, you can't give her the 3-point shot. Okay, try and stop her. She's 6'6". She's probably shooting over the top of it. Even when you send out a closeout, don't really know what you do about it. Her effective field goal percentage, 61.6% this year. Highest number she has put up since 2018 when she was coming off the bench for Kurt Miller in Connecticut. That was a long time ago. Elite rebounder. Best passing year of her entire career. Assist percentage was 18.3%. But here's something interesting. The Sun, in both of their wins over the Liberty that counted, non-commissioners cup that is, counted on the regular season standings, held JJ to single digits. JJ scored 21 in the game that the Liberty won. So I asked her, do you see that as the metric? Is there a different metric? And I asked Kayla Thornton, what's different about this team this year? So let's listen to what they have to say. Be back in a moment, and we'll talk about it. I'm Howard Megdal, and you're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball.
Hey, ladies, Andy Lipton. Question for JJ. You've excelled in every aspect of the game this year, scoring, defense, passing, ball handling, your movement, your conditioning. What did you do during this past offseason differently, if anything? And if you did, what motivated you?
Well, obviously, making it to another championship and falling short is always motivating. And I think we did a lot of great things last year, but we just needed a little bit more. So that was always in the back of my mind, regardless of what I was doing. But this offseason, I was able to play, overseas. I played in China. And, people talk about it a lot. Like, you can do a lot of off-court things to kind of prepare for the season, but nothing gets you ready like playing basketball games. And so I was just playing year round. And I think that really helped with the way that I came into the season, started the season, ultimately was able to be an all-star and all of that because a strong start is so important. But ultimately just getting back to myself and my game. Last year I didn't feel like that. And this year, like I said, it really helped just to play basketball and get back to myself and be healthy.
Gotcha. Thanks, JJ.
No problem.
Go. Follow up? Yeah, good. That's it. Also to your right.
This is just a question for both of you. Just to be back in the finals, what's that feel like, and what, if anything, is different from a year ago?
You can go first. Want me to go? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like I said before, our team has had a year to really grow and understand each other and build our chemistry. And then also we have that bonding experience of making it to a championship and falling short, and then having that hunger to go out there and make our minds up in terms of our mindset and how we approach the game, that it wasn't going to happen again. And so, we still have a job to do. We're coming in against a really good Minnesota team that really plays great basketball, and they challenge you in different ways and on different levels. And so we understand it's going to be a fight, but collectively we've gone through a lot together, and we've built and become way stronger. And so I think that's been the biggest difference.
All right, next we're going to turn to Zoom. We'll start with Howard. Howard, go ahead.
Thank you both. Congratulations. Oh, okay, good. Now the echo's gone. One for each of you, if I could. Sorry if the sound is off. JJ, for you, in the matchups against Minnesota this year, when you were held to single digits in points, they won. You scored 21 in the win. I'm wondering if you're looking at that metric or a different metric. And Kayla, for you, seeing this team, how it has evolved, I'm hoping you can tell me if you see one specific moment from the Aces series that let you know that this was a different team this year.
I think just our mentality. I think like JJ said last year, we were kind of all new, and thank God we made it to where we did, just having that first year. But I think this second year we kind of came in and we knew what we needed to do, having the experience and what we went through last year. We have an understanding of what we have to do, and I think just the big part of it was just the mental part.
Yeah, and in terms of my matchups against Minnesota this year, obviously they do a really good job of congesting the paint, sending multiple people, fronting the post, and kind of making you pass the ball over the top, and then having that help side defense be there. But I understand how important it is for me to play really well for us to win. And I understand that a main point of emphasis for Minnesota is trying to get me out of the game, and being able to use that to affect the game. So I'm coming in really aggressively, obviously trying to play smart, not get into early foul trouble, and trying to affect the boards, because they are a smaller team, and I think rebounding is one of the ways that we can kind of exploit them a little bit. But ultimately, just trying to have a good game so that we can be successful.
So that is the essence of the way Jonquel Jones and Kayla Thornton see things. Was really glad to get their insights. This Minnesota Lynx team is elite and has given New York fits all year. This Liberty team is remarkable, top to bottom, firing on all cylinders, getting a lot out of Benijah Laney Hamilton, who is, I mean, she's navigating whatever is going on with her knee in a way that you would think, well, lateral movement's going to be hard. That's going to be particularly difficult defensively. And she's so smart. The way she anticipates and is able to overcome that to still be an elite defensive player for them. It's just incredible. Brianna Stewart, I mean, she is Brianna Stewart. Sabrina Ionescu has been at another level this year. Oh, it's a tasty matchup. Game 1, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Game 2 will be Sunday afternoon. Then on to Minnesota for 3, if necessary, 4. Game 5, if it's necessary, October 20th at Barclays Center. I can't wait for all of it. That's it for us today here at Locked On Women's Basketball. Just a reminder that tomorrow, the great Gigi Spear will be joining you. So same great show, upgrade in the host chair, going from me to Gigi. Please enjoy that. And we will be giving you wall-to-wall coverage of this WNBA Finals over at the Nets. Jackie Powell, our Liberty beat reporter, will be at all the games. Terry Horstman, our Lynch reporter, will be at all the games. A ton of sidebar coverage as well. And subscribe on YouTube. Get all of our shorts live from the arena, live from practices and shoot-arounds. We're blanketing the coverage the way all of us know it needs to be done. So until then, I am Howard Megdal, wishing all of you a very happy WNBA Finals Eve.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.